29th, 2025. The Gabby Gordon Show starts right now. Welcome in. My name is Gabby Gordon. I'm your host. You can follow me on socials. Go to the link in the description of this podcast episode or wherever you may be watching it if it's on YouTube. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and it is also accessible on YouTube, and sometimes we post some clips on TikTok as well. So you can follow me on all my socials. They'll be in the description, so you can stay connected, ask me some questions, send me some comments. Sometimes they're featured on episodes. I love to get in touch with you all and just learn about what you guys are interested in hearing. So without further ado, I'm back from vacation, and we didn't miss a beat, though. I told you the Gabby Gordon Show wasn't going to be hindered by my vacation. It was a lovely one, though, to say the least. I was away from Saturday to Thursday in Florida with my family, Marco Island. It is a beautiful place. I did get a little sunburnt on the last day, though, let me tell you. If you do not reapply sunscreen as you exit the pool, you're going to get cooked. And I am cooked. I can barely touch my shoulders with fabric, like clothing and cloth right now. That's how bad it is. But nevertheless, it's time to talk about some sports, and it was such a relaxing vacation, a nice disconnect from the sports world, even though you still follow along with it. You still get all the notifications on social media and everything, and I was pretty in touch, but just disconnected from social media, hanging out with the family, and resetting before classes start back up again at Hofstra next week. And we get back, and it's almost like a back-to-reality type of moment. When you get off the plane, you land safely in wherever you're from. So New York, I'm home. And it's a back-to-reality moment, and it couldn't have been more fitting that in the Uber, on the way back to my house, Micah Parsons becomes a Green Bay Packer. Now, I'm going to talk about this from two different perspectives. I'm going to talk about this from the sports media perspective of sports media personalities and podcasts. And then I'm going to talk about it from a Green Bay Packers fan perspective, because I am both. I'm a sports media personality. This show is largely unbiased. Of course, there's opinions in there that can be influenced by where I'm from and the teams and players that I enjoy to watch more than others. But when it comes down to the breaking news, when it comes down to league-altering decisions, such as this trade, I try and remain very neutral. And this is in the most unbiased way possible that I can say this. Jerry Jones has taken the Cowboys franchise from when he started in 1989 to 2025. And in the last decade, he has run this organization into the ground by doing too much. And until they hire a general manager, they are not going to find success. It's simple. I mean, trading your best player away, your best player, he's 26. He's already on what seems like a Hall of Fame track if he can continue the production. And again, he's 26 years old. Some of these guys play into their 40s. Not all. But if you can have a long career. This guy's 26. He can play for another 10, 11, 12 years if he can stay healthy and if he can keep his body right and mentally he still wants to do it and he's enjoying it. I mean, this kid has so much upside. Parsons has proven himself to be one of the best defensive players in the league, without question, since he stepped foot on the field as a rookie. The things he's been able to do, and the fact that Dallas couldn't hold on to him, it brings me to the question, was it selfishness because they couldn't find a deal because of all the social media stuff that Parsons was putting out there? Was it selfishness? Was it you don't see eye to eye, so now you have to show this guy up and trade him elsewhere, and you need your other guys to now prove you right if you're Jerry Jones? Let me remind you that Jones traded Herschel Walker when he was brand new as the owner of the Cowboys for a package that included 4 players, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. All right, that trade brought Emmitt Smith, among others, to Dallas, and that kind of created a dynasty-type run through the mid-'90s for the Cowboys. That was a Jerry Jones success moment where you bring in, you trade away Herschel Walker, who very, very valuable, and you make it work, and you're proven right by what was to come from it. But in 2025 now, because that was 1989. In 2025, all Jerry managed to get in trading away the all-world pass rusher Micah Parsons was a couple of first-round picks and a 29-year-old defensive tackle in Kenny Clark, who hasn't been good in a few years now. That was all it cost to give away your best player on your team, along with a 4-year, $188 million contract. That's all it took for the Packers to get him. And when I read that, my brother was the one who actually broke the news in the Uber. When I read that, I was like, you're joking. That has to be a deep fake. It's a fake account. Schefter didn't post that. Look for a typo in the username. It's definitely not him. Because we see it all the time with these fake troll accounts that want to get clicks. And let me tell you, I didn't believe it. Because how can you believe something like that? Now I'm going to tell you, from a Green Bay Packers fan point of view, what it feels like. This team is back. I don't want to say the Packers were ever not around, but this team goes from a maybe wild card team to now a potential division winning team. A potential, I don't want to jump the gun here, but NFC champion contender. It's possible. And it's all because Jerry Jones continues to make decisions that don't need to be made. Can you imagine being a Dallas sports fan right now in the year 2025? I was talking with my dad about this trade yesterday after we got home. And we're sitting around talking about it, and he brought up a wonderful point. Put yourself in the shoes, have a little empathy. Put yourself in the shoes of a middle-aged kid, of a kid, a Dallas fan as a kid. You know, you got all the jerseys, all the collectible items, and you're into it, right? You're into sports. This is your first moment where you're really conscious of what's going on in the sports world. You're a Dallas fan, whatever. You get to share it with your family, your friends. And first, Nico Harrison runs Luka Doncic out of town. So you've got the Luka Doncic jersey. What do? Maybe you burn it, you throw it in the attic, you pack it away, never to be seen again. Devastation, right? Devastation from Mavericks fans. Devastated that Nico Harrison may have made the worst trade by a Dallas sports team in history. And then you finally get over it. It's August, right? The Cowboys, all the news with Jerry and everything, and it's going to get done, right? The deal with Parsons is going to get done. And you've just come to closure with the Doncic trade. You're finally comfortable with seeing him in a Lakers jersey as much as you possibly can be comfortable with it. And then Parsons gets traded to Green Bay. And you go through it all over again. And now, I don't know if the Doncic trade is the worst trade by a Dallas sports team in history, because I could tell you, I think this one's up there. I mean, there really is no explanation for why the Cowboys would make this move other than them not being able to negotiate with Parsons and his agent. And I really think that Jerry Jones went out of his way to burn a bridge bad. And now he's putting trust in guys like Dak and those other playmakers on the team to go and prove him right. I mean, what does the Cowboys locker room sound like right now? I would love to know what's in the mind of Cowboys players who now have their greatest defensive stud on the team gone, and you replace him with Kenny Clark. Jerry Jones had an 11-minute monologue after the trade saying that it was made to improve the Cowboys' run defense and cited that Kenny Clark had status as a Pro Bowl defensive tackle. Well, now what about your pass game? Never mind the fact that the run defense is not even considered Clark's strength, or that Green Bay's run defense wasn't very good when he anchored the line. Green Bay had a problem with run defense. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, Jones compared the move to the Herschel Walker trade. But there is no way that you can say this is a smart move for a franchise that gave its quarterback a $240 million contract and its top receiver a $136 million contract in the last year. I mean, Dallas, when Jones traded Walker away decades ago, they were already in the middle of a rebuild. The expectations for Dallas right now are wildly different than what they were back when this originally happened. I'm not sure anybody outside of the organization had championship expectations for Dallas right now. So it's not like it changes from a Super Bowl contending team to missing the playoffs. But that's all that needs to be said, is the fact that there is no championship expectations. And so now Jones is trying to make these moves to get them closer to where they want to be. Meanwhile, you're getting further from where you want to be. Because if you weren't a championship caliber team coming into this year with Parsons on your roster, you're nowhere near it now with him off of your roster. And I feel like he's the only one who doesn't see it that way. And is it delusion? Is it greed? Is it jealousy? Is it, just selfishness? I don't know. I mean, CeeDee Lamb publicly criticized the messiness after Parsons requested his trade in August. Remember, he tweeted on August 1st that, quote, "Just pay the man what you owe him. No need for the extracurricular." So, if it's not already spreading around in the locker room now, I can tell you these guys are not happy that Parsons is no longer a member of Dallas. Because it's crazy. It's crazy to me that they can't get a job done. I mean, it's ridiculous. And until they have a general manager on their team, I mean, they're not going anywhere. It's just not happening. And then what does this mean for Green Bay? Because you have to look at the other side of things. I think this was ridiculous for Dallas. I think it's stupid. I think if anybody thinks this is a positive move, then you're just drinking from the Kool-Aid that Jerry's drinking from, and it's ridiculous. I do not think it's smart. I think it's ego over everything, and you cannot run a team that way. And you shouldn't have an owner running a team to begin with. Jerry continues to do stupid things. And it's not to question Jerry's character, because I'm in no position to question who Jerry Jones is as a person. But if you're looking on paper at what's happened the last couple of years for this team, it falls on the guy who's running the show. And usually that would be the general manager. But because there is no GM, it falls on Jerry. And it's just stupid. Now, some say that the Packers overpaid a little bit for Parsons. I disagree. Some say that, and that's an unbiased opinion as well. A lot of people have made the argument that giving up 2 first-round picks is kind of like throwing your future away. But I'll make the devil's advocate argument that the future is right now. The Packers were planning for their future the last couple of years after Rodgers left. That was the time for the future. And they are a young team. I can count on my fingers, on my singular right hand, how many players they have that are age 30 or higher. And it's not many. So they're a young team. So I'll make the argument that, you're preparing for the future. Happened a couple years ago. Now you have your future. Now you have the next generation of football players, of Green Bay Packers players, that's going to hopefully lead you to a Lombardi trophy in the coming years. And that's led by your young quarterback, Jordan Love. And it's his time now to really, really show off what he can do. He's 26, the same age as Micah Parsons. Right? And he's got a lot to prove, too. So, to say that they need these first-round picks is like saying that they still need to plan for their future. And I get that if something goes horribly wrong this season, and I hope to God it doesn't for Packers fans, me personally, because I can't take that with what's been going on with New York baseball. And we're not even going to get into that today. I don't think we're going to have time for it. Thank God we don't have to talk about the Yankees and the Mets again. But when you take a franchise, and franchises go through the ups and downs, that's what happens, right? You see it with every single team. You see a team, a powerhouse in the Packers, who had Rodgers, MVP every single year, and they were just pounding through the rest of the NFC North like it was nothing. They would take the top every single season. Then age starts to get to you. Rodgers is no longer a Packer. Now you start to plan for your future. Right now is the time that you start to use those first-round picks. Now you draft a receiver, one or two. You draft some defensive guys. You draft a quarterback. So you got Matthew Golden in this last draft. That was huge. That was a great pick for them. That's exactly what I wanted them to do in that situation. So now you're in a situation here where your future is now. And there's not many other ways you can say it. You've got such a young group, the youngest group in the league by far. And you're in the future. So now you're in the present, and this is the time where you're going to win things if you're going to win. Within these next 5 years, this is your squad. Give or take, you get some new additions, and not all these guys are probably going to stay with the team for these 5 years, depending on what happens. But I would give this sample size 5 solid years. And then you'll really know for sure if you needed those first-round draft picks or not. And I can tell you who will be around. It'll be Micah Parsons. And I can tell you who's going to make an impact. It's going to be Micah Parsons. So from that standpoint, this team, that was a wonderful, wonderful move, and it's only going to be positive. And obviously they have the money to spend here. They've got young kids on this roster that haven't even reached their full potential yet. Rookie contracts left and right. You have money to spend. So any way you want to look at this trade, it really does feel like the Cowboys were a few years away, and now they're a few years away from being a few years away. And Jerry's not a young guy. He's in his early 80s. So the likelihood that he leads this franchise to another Super Bowl before he steps away from the front office is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the days go by. And, I mean, it's almost like a full circle moment for the wrong reasons, because when he traded his best player back in 1989, that was a new era for Cowboys football. That was the birth of a new moment. And now it feels like the end of an era, in a bad way, for Dallas. And I think that it's going to show this season quite a bit, and you're going to have some angry fans, some really angry fans, and he's going to hear it. And all he can hope is that Dak and the rest of the squad can somehow prove him right. And if he's proven right and Parsons does terrible in Green Bay and the Cowboys can somehow pull together some serious playoff push, I will have admitted that I'm wrong. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's zero chance that this ends positive for Dallas. No shot. I will say this, though. Getting closer to the season and then having trades like this is so exciting because we start the season on Thursday. So on Friday's podcast, we'll be into it, and it's going to be awesome. And we have a game Friday night, September 5th at 8 p.m. It's the Chiefs at the Chargers, so that's going to be even more exciting as well. So we'll kick off the season with the Cowboys at the Eagles Thursday, September 4th, not to mention that in Week 4, Green Bay travels to Dallas and plays the Cowboys. So that's going to be fun to have a little reunion there between Parsons and his alma mater. And then, of course, Sunday football slate. And it's going to be so exciting. I'm so pumped for this season. I got a fantasy football draft on Monday. So I'll let you know how that goes on Friday as well. And you can give me some feedback on how my team's looking. I am so pumped for this season. The time of year, it doesn't get much better than the time of year that we're in now, because you've got baseball and the postseason push, and now you've got football. Like, the summer's tough. The summer's tough to talk sports because there's a lot of downtime, and there's not a lot of sports besides baseball. Then you get the preseason in the NFL going, and it gets exciting. And now we got baseball with just a couple weeks left to be making a push. So I know I said I wasn't going to get into the baseball talk, but we're just gonna kind of look and see how the New York teams are doing and how the rest of the league is doing as well, because it's getting pretty significant now. And for teams that are trying to get in who aren't in yet, it's getting tight. So the Yankees, their offense has been really hot, and they are 2 games up now for the second spot in the AL wildcard, 2 games up on Seattle, and then the Royals are 3 games out of the wild card. So the Yankees, it would be very difficult to fall out of the wild card spot at this point. Knock on wood, of course. But it would be very difficult for them to miss the playoffs. And something would have gone horrendously wrong, and everybody needs to be fired if that's the case. The Mets, same thing. They have a solid cushion. They did really, really well in the last couple of matchups they had. Obviously, last night, they couldn't get the job done. They lost 7-4, but they're 4 games up on the Reds now, and that was a close race. The Reds were down by a game. Less than that, actually, a half a game. And so the Mets are 4 games up in the 3rd spot of the wild card, and they're 3 games behind the Padres, who lost their last matchup. So for both New York teams, it does seem pretty difficult to fall out of the wild card race. But let's look at the rest of the schedule. We'll start with the Mets because the Mets have struggled deeply with holding leads, and they really should continue winning these matchups, and they couldn't, right? They swept the Phillies 13-3 on the 25th, 6-5 on the 26th, 6-0 on the 27th. And then they stay home against the Marlins, and you think, well, you're going to sweep the Phillies. Let's just keep pounding through the Marlins, and they cannot stay hot. So that is something that's interesting to watch here, is that they cannot really stay consistent. That Phillies series was huge for them, especially after they dropped their last matchup against the Braves. But their offense has been pretty hot as well. So New York Baseball's offense has been pretty solid. A couple of defensive blunders from the Mets. It's a little bit unusual. Slightly unusual for the team. They made 3 errors yesterday against the Marlins. So I guess when pressure gets put on your defense, it's interesting. And with the Yankees, there's no difference as well because the defense on New York sports has been horrendous, really horrendous. So the Mets will continue to play 3 more games in the series against the Marlins. They'll play tonight at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They'll play Saturday at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Francisco Lindor bobblehead night. And then they'll play in the afternoon on Sunday against the Marlins at 1:40 p.m. And then you enter the month of September. And you play the Tigers, the Reds, the Phillies, the Rangers, the Padres, the Nationals, the Cubs, and then you close out for the Marlins. So that's the rest of the Mets schedule. If we look at the New York Yankees rest of their schedule, same thing with them. They have a nice cushion. They are not as consistent as you'd like for them to be. They're playing against the White Sox. They won last night, 10-4. Big offensive game for them. I mean, it's really been solid offensively. Bellinger has been on a tear of the baseball lately. Chisholm has had some nice shots. Volpe had a multi-hit game yesterday. You haven't seen that in some time. And even in that case, he's still like 3 for his last 37 or some crazy stat like that. So there are inconsistencies, but Judge looks pretty solid. Stanton's been hitting the ball hard. Goldschmidt, same thing. So the offense has been looking solid. They've got 3 more games left in that series tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday, same thing. And they were able to sweep the Nationals 10-5, 5-1, 11-2. After almost getting swept in a 4-game series by the Red Sox. So they have turned things around. Then they finish off in September a 3-game set against the Astros. That's not going to be a walk in the park. 3-game set against the Blue Jays, not going to be a walk in the park. They have not played against the Blue Jays well this season by far. The Tigers, same thing, and they play the Red Sox again. The Twins, the Orioles, the White Sox, and then the Orioles. So it's not a cakewalk for either New York team heading into the postseason. So they really have to stay consistent. So while it's really positive right now, or things seem to be looking up for the team, as things were really, really looking the opposite of up for the team, I have one thing that just I cannot stand. It's with the Yankees. And I just cannot stand it because they look so unserious. Why on earth have we not sat or sent down Anthony Volpe? Why not? He has become a problem. I don't care what he did last night. I don't care about the multi-hit game. He made another error last night, right? He is an error machine. A once Gold Glover. He cannot field a routine ground ball. He cannot reach first base. Boone put him back in the starting lineup on Tuesday after benching him 3 times in the previous 8 games in favor of Jose Caballero. And then he went 0 for 4 on 3 fly balls and a strikeout. And he then went 0 for 5 on Wednesday with 2 strikeouts before bouncing back Thursday with his 2-hit effort. He made 2 outs in 1 inning on Wednesday. And Boone has continued to insist that Volpe is going to remain the primary shortstop, even though the facts dictate otherwise. If the Yankees are such an analytically driven team, how are the numbers not showing you to sit this kid? He is in such a defensive slump. He has lost all confidence. He has lost all fundamentals. He's up there for the worst on-base percentage in Yankees history since 1920. With 205 right now. 22 strikeouts. It's horrendous. He is not reliable in any aspect of the game. He enters play today 3 for 40. With 14 strikeouts and no walks. He's not on base, so you can't even utilize his speed. And when he's in the field, he doesn't do anything to turn it around because he makes error after error after error. So what do you do with him? Well, he's not a utility player, so you can't put him anywhere else. If he's struggling, you can't put him in the outfield. You can't put him at first base. You can't put him at third or second. He's a shortstop. And he's not useful off the bench as a bat either. He's 0 for 4 in his career as a pinch hitter. So you really can't do anything with him, and he's the furthest from a utility man that you can get. I mean, they stuck with him for so long in the face of struggles that at this point they have missed the window to send him down. They should have done it months ago. And it's not even lack of skill. It's lack of confidence, and that falls on your front office because you should have protected him, and you didn't. There was nothing about Anthony Volpe that was that special that he couldn't have been sent down for a few weeks to figure things out and gain some confidence again. I mean, there's not many players that have been given this much playing time in their first 3 seasons with this little of production. And this is interesting here. There's been 321 players. This is courtesy of Sports Illustrated. 321 players since 1920 who were given at least 1,500 plate appearances in their first 3 seasons. Anthony Volpe and MJ Melendez have the worst batting average with that much runway. And funny enough, the Royals have kept Melendez mostly in AAA this season. It's a problem. I don't understand what the decision is. I don't understand why they're afraid to do anything with him. It's just a detriment to his career. He's so young. He could be so solid. He's got speed, and he's a former Gold Glover. And now he can't make a routine ground ball play. And the boos from Yankees fans, the hate he's getting on social media, the fact that his dad got involved a few months ago, it is not a good look for him. And he's getting it from all angles, and you've got to feel for him at this point. It must be mentally taxing. It must be incredibly difficult. And it must feel like there is absolutely no light at the end of the tunnel because the Yankees have not done anything to shield him from any of it because he's not helping himself because nobody else is helping him. He goes out there every single day and he does the best he can, and it's not enough because there's zero confidence. He's whiffing at balls. He struck out against a position player against the Nationals. Well, that's embarrassing. 2 outs in one long inning where the Yankees batted around. That's embarrassing. Made an error last night. He was played perfectly. Up the middle, ground ball directly to him, and he boots it. It's embarrassing. There is only one word to describe his play. It is embarrassing. And you're going to continue getting the kid embarrassed if you don't do something to shield him. Sit him down. If you don't want to send him down, don't send him down. But sit him down. Let him figure it out. Let Caballero do what he was brought in to do. He's a trade acquisition. Bring him in. What are we doing? Are we waiting for Volpe to suddenly become this incredible Derek Jeter type star? Because it's not going to happen if you continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. That's just insanity. It's mind-boggling to me that they haven't made a difference in his career. They are the sole reason that his career is going to end the way it's looking right now if they don't do something different, and it will be on the Yankees for blame there, because any other competent organization would have sat him down by now weeks ago. 3 for 40? Are you kidding? Starting shortstop, and when you do sit him, you bring him in as a defensive replacement in a high-leverage situation. That is unserious baseball. And they are an unserious franchise if they don't do something with him. It is as simple as that. And you got to feel bad. I mean, you've got to feel bad because it's so difficult to see a kid struggle like this that was so positive and so exciting for the future. And as a fan, but even as a baseball, not as a Yankee fan, as a baseball fan, you feel bad. Like, you really do feel bad. And it's tough to see that the Yankees haven't been competent enough to see that they need to do something different. So that's my 2 cents on the Volpe situation, because there's a lot of different angles you can take, and I don't think it's wrong to slander him because listen, New York baseball fans are going to have their share of what they want to say in terms of Volpe's lack of production, because he's subject to the media market of New York, and New York baseball fans are harsh individuals. So I don't think you can say, oh, you should go easy on him, because that's not how this goes. These are grown men, right? These are grown men, and it's part of the job. But by the same token, I think as an organization, you have to realize that your kid here, who he's still a kid. I mean, he's in his 20s. He's got a lot of life to live, and a lot of time in the league if he can figure it out. Your kid's struggling. You got to do something. You can't just keep throwing him out there every single night and expecting that he's just going to figure it out on his own when he's hearing boos from the people who are supposed to be his biggest supporters and fans. So that's just my 2 cents. We're going to wrap up the Gabby Gordon Show for this week. We got to talk some Micah Parsons and Cowboys, and, of course, some New York baseball. The Cowboys trade, man, it still baffles my mind. Like, honestly, unserious decisions made by Jerry Jones and the front office, because it's just ridiculous. But nonetheless, the Packers are in a great position to succeed, and I cannot wait to see what they do with their new puzzle piece. See if they can put together this playoff push type of puzzle. And then for New York, the time is now, man. The time is now. There is, for New York baseball, there is no other way to put it. Entering September in just a couple of days, the last push, the last month of the season, and then it's postseason baseball, and there is no mercy that is shown in the postseason. Anybody can win any day of the week. That's how it works in this game. So both teams got to put their pedal to the metal here and make a postseason run, because that's the most important part as we go forward. And both teams seem like they're in pretty secure spots to secure their wild card positions. Hopefully that stays the case, and we have 2 teams in the postseason. How far will they go? That's up to the management on how competent they will be. I don't want to pounce on the management of these teams, because I'm not a general manager or a coach in the Major League Baseball, in league. That's not me, and I won't claim that, and so I don't think it's right to criticize where I wouldn't necessarily be able to do any better. But there's a difference between criticism and then just plain old facts, right? And I'm speaking facts here. And the facts come straight from the numbers and analytics, and it's pretty clear for the eye to see. I'm not the only one who says it, so we're going to have to see how that continues to impact these teams. And it's every league you see. Very heavy reliance on analytics now, and I think it's upsetting, but listen, the world changes, we have to change with it. So that's going to wrap up this week's episode of The Gabby Gordon Show. Make sure you follow me on socials. On Instagram, Gabby Gordon with 2 N's. On TikTok, Gabby.Gordon with 2 N's. And on X, Gabby Gordon on X. Follow me there. Reach out to me on what you want to hear in the next episode of the podcast. Any questions, comments, or anything you might want to add, and you may just hear your comment on a future episode. You can get this podcast on Spotify or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And on YouTube, we make a YouTube audio version as well. If you'd like to just go and subscribe to the channel, put on the post notifications so that you never miss an episode. And it has been an honor to spend the last 36 minutes or so with you. We'll be back same time, same place next Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will officially be back in classes at Hofstra University going into my junior year. And football, NFL, will be underway. We got college football this weekend as well. That'll be something we touch upon in the next week's episode on Saturday, tomorrow. That's going to be very exciting. College game day is back with the boys. It's going to be a great couple of months of sports, and I don't want to spend it with anyone else but you guys. Have a good one. Don't forget to be awesome. My name is Gabby Gordon. Reach out to me on socials. I want to hear from you. I'll see you next Friday. Have a good one.